I'm a relationship coach, so I teach that all of relationships really only require one person to work on them in order for them to improve and to be really great. And that's really good news, because oftentimes we think, well, the person has to change or people need to be different in order for relationships to get better. But ultimately, that's not actually true. We have a lot of control and influence over the kinds of relationships we create by how we decide to show up to them. And so when we get in our power and focus all of our energy on what we have influence on and what we can control, a lot of change can happen. So these are the 5 pillars of really great relationships. They're all very important. And once we have all of them honed in, we notice how much our relationships grow and how much they improve just on their own by working on these little things. So I'm going to go through them really briefly. These are very surface level things that I just wanted to make sure we touched on. And then if you have any questions at the end, I will address them. So the first one I call meet your mandates. So in every relationship, we have things that we want from it. We have things that we want from the other person, and these are your mandates. So in every relationship, we want something from the other person. We want something out of it. Now, the way we can get it is by making requests and asking for it, right? And the way that we make that request and make that reminder is very important. We want to make sure that when we're making requests and reminders, we're showing up from a place of warmth, from a place of acceptance. We're not bitter, we're not angry, we're not resentful, right? The way that we make these requests and reminders is very important. The second way we can meet our mandates is by becoming creative and finding ways outside of our relationship to get that for ourselves. So our relationships will not give us everything. Sometimes we kind of expect them to. We kind of want everything from our partner or from whoever is closest to us, but that is way too much pressure to put on our relationship. We need to be able to be creative about how we get what we want. So when we're understanding that we have all of these expectations and mandates, we need to say, okay, I actually really want this from this person, but this other thing, I don't actually need it from this person. I could probably get it by myself or from somebody else or in a different way that I never really thought of, because I didn't know that I was putting all of this pressure on this relationship. So we take a really close look at what you're expecting and we find a way to get it for you, even if it's not all from this particular relationship. So that's something that often just runs in the background, but when we take it and really focus on it, we can do some great work with it. So that's the first pillar. The second pillar that I teach that is really fundamental is your relationship with you. So how you feel about you will impact every relationship that you're in, right? What you allow and what you demand comes back to the kind of love that you think you deserve. So if you don't think that you deserve great things, if you're not on your side, if you don't love yourself first and foremost, the kind of people that you're going to attract and the kind of relationships that you're going to have are not going to be as healthy and as fulfilling as the kind of relationships you could have if you were all in with yourself and you respected yourself and you were just in your power with who you are. So you can sense the energy of how you show up in relationships always comes back to how you think about you. So I teach that when we fall madly in love with ourselves, we can create much better relationships, and they're actually a lot easier than what we try to do when we don't love ourselves. So I'll give you an example. A few years back, I was in a relationship where I felt awful about myself. I didn't love myself. I didn't pay attention to myself. I didn't even really know myself really well. And so I was using my partner to get all of that for myself. So I needed love from them. I needed acceptance and validation. And I would act in ways to keep them around because I needed those things from them, instead of knowing that I could give those to myself and showing up authentically and as me. So once I dialed that in and I really started to love who I am, everything changed, and the kind of people that I attracted changed as well. It was really interesting to see. So that is another really important part of creating amazing relationships. And then the third thing is commitment. So especially in romantic relationships, but in all relationships, we have to recognize that it is an important thing, right? Our relationship matters, and that we have to be in it. We can't be like, oh, should I be in this relationship? Should I not be in it? Like maybe there's somebody better out there for me. Maybe I don't really need this person. We have to know that we are in it and that we are willing to do the work to keep it going and to keep it thriving. So when we waffle and when we're in doubt, the work that we're doing will not be as effective as if we're in this place of like, I'm here, I'm going to make this work no matter what. And then if we do all of the work and we realize that this relationship isn't actually for me, that's when you can leave and say, I'm just going to part ways with this person. But we have to be in it fully while we're doing the work. So this looks like prioritizing your partner or their person and making time for them, having space and resources to give them attention, all of those things. This will require a mindset shift, right? So you have to start seeing your relationships as important, thinking of them as a priority, and then an action plan. So whether that's making time in your schedule, checking in with the person, whatever it is that is going to show that person and yourself that the relationship is important, that is what needs to be done. Okay, and then intimacy. So in every relationship, we need to feel safe, right? If we feel safe in a relationship, we can then be vulnerable and open. And when we're vulnerable and open, we allow the person to know us, we know them, and then we create a really strong bond from that place. So we do this by knowing our partner and allowing them to know us. We have to pay attention to them. We have to answer them when they want our attention. And we always have to say the honest thing. So especially when it's hard to show up authentically as who we are, that is when it's most important to speak up and to tell people what we're actually thinking and feeling. Because if we're hiding parts of ourselves because we don't want to hurt their feelings, or if we're not showing up because we're afraid to be rejected, then that's going against creating intimacy and being vulnerable. That's hiding yourself, and then your person will never really know you, and you won't be able to create that deep bond that you really want. So in order to create safety, we have to be brave. We have to know that it's possible to be rejected, but that if we are rejected, we're going to be okay. All of these things are like mental shifts that we need to start making if we want to have these deep bonds in our lives. And then the last thing is acquiring the skill set of conflict resolution. So conflict resolution is something that we have to actively work on to be good at it. It's not something that, especially for the majority of people, that we can just be good at. We have to kind of know that in order for us to resolve conflict, first of all, conflict is not a problem. Conflict is necessary in order to grow better relationships. We have to put down our defenses, which can be really difficult because when we feel attacked, all we want to do is defend and no, you're not hearing me, but I'm right, and all of these kind of things to put up walls. But we have to kind of unlearn those instinctive desires, put our defenses down, process and allow negative emotions, and then show up with the goal to understand above all. That is the goal of conflict. I want to know what you are thinking and feeling. What do you have to say? Why are you showing up in this way? And then when our person feels heard, when they feel like, oh, they get me, oh, they want to hear me, then they are much more willing to hear you. And then productive communication can actually be had. But it all starts with the way you show up to the conflict and the energy that you bring to the situation, which is why I emphasize that it only takes one person to improve every relationship. So those are it. Those, I just wanted to touch on them briefly. Those are the 5 things that I think are crucial for amazing relationships. And as it turns out, it's not just for romantic ones. I think they can be applied to every relationship. So I have a program where I take women through. In 3 months, we tackle each one of those pillars and we deep dive all of them and how they impact their lives. And at the end, they have transformed their relationship completely. So that's my little spiel.